I'd like to take some time to take a look at the technology that's used by ICE federal officials, as well as some mitigation techniques. Now, many of these mitigation techniques are recommended by the ACLU, as well as other organizations trying to keep people safe. So let's take a look at ICE tech and mitigation. Many different types of tech are being used, such as artificial intelligence, email surveillance, fake cell towers. So let's discuss some of these tactics and tech that can be used, both high tech and low tech, to mitigate these various different types of technologies. I'm going to start out with AI analytics. The first type of tech that ICE uses using AI is going to be the hurricane scores. This is an AI algorithm that assesses the likelihood that a non-citizen is failing to check in to help agents prioritize these cases for enforcement. So if you are here in the country from another country, you definitely need to check in on a regular basis, because if not, you'll make yourself a larger target. And that will make it much easier for ICE to come to where you live or where you work and go ahead and arrest you. Social media scouring. This is where ICE is going to employ AI-driven tools, such as those from Babel and Clearview AI. And they're going to use this to scour billions of social media posts to identify leads, track threats, or create a dossier on individuals. And also real-time translation. This is where ICE is going to use machine learning tools for real-time transcription and translation of intercepted audio and multilingual email data during investigations. So they're intercepting your audio even if you're not speaking in English, and they're also taking a look at your email, and they're going to translate it in a language that they can read in order to find out if you are a target that ICE wants to arrest. So there are multiple different ways to mitigate AI tech, such as using a signal jammer. Now, a signal jammer is going to be illegal in the United States, so I'm not recommending that anyone gets one of these. However, here are several different companies that can sell these types of technologies, such as Ciosi, Defender, and Simket, and this is a picture of what they look like. Signal spoofing from Spirent and Saffron. Now, spoofing is different from a jammer. Spoofing is going to try to throw off the scent so it looks like you're coming from a different location, or maybe it's going to encrypt some of the words that you're saying and make it difficult for them to understand. There's lots of different ways that spoofing will throw off any type of law enforcement from being able to find their target. Then there's some low-tech ideas. I've got lots of different low-tech ideas I'll be mentioning during this video, such as signal shielding, where you just simply wrap your phone or other device in multiple layers of aluminum foil or any other type of metal, and it's going to bounce that signal off of the device. Now, certainly don't post any criminal intentions. I don't recommend that anyone breaks the law, but a lot of people who do get caught end up posting it on public types of applications that are easily read and tracked. Use end-to-end encryption apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, iMessage, things like that. Now, it's certainly possible that ICE or Homeland Security might try to get information from these end-to-end encrypted apps, but it's also possible they may not keep those messages once they are sent, and they'll have nothing to actually grab, or they might be outside of the United States, and they may not hand that information over to the U.S. government. So let me tell you a story. One time I was hired up in Seattle, Washington, to take a look at the firewall setup of a cell phone company that was about to be purchased by a larger cell phone company. And they wanted to make sure that there were no security holes in their firewall before handing this off to this larger company in the sale. So while I was looking at the firewall rules, I noticed that there was one set of IP addresses where they had full access to everything that was going on. And I asked, whose IP addresses are these? And they said, oh, that's Homeland Security. You can't make any changes to that. And I said, well, what are they using them for? And they said, well, that's being used by them to listen in on any conversations they want, because the law says they no longer have to get a court order to do that. Another way to mitigate AI is low-tech, and that is going to use a very difficult to understand dialect that only specific people know how to decipher, or using codes such as nonverbal hand signals that only specific other people in your group understand. Now, it's also possible to change up those hand signals later on, such as in a baseball game. Number 1 might be for fastball, number 2 might be for a slider, things like that, but that might get changed up because somebody at second base might read it. Same kind of thing can happen in a large public gathering. You may end up having to change up some of your nonverbal codes. Those cannot be intercepted. Let's look at some more tech that ICE uses, such as their backbone tech. This is going to be their main tech. Such as tech from Palantir platforms, where they use this ICM, Falcon SA, Immigration OS. This is going to use data that's analyzed by federal, state, and commercial databases that will include things like travel records, tax data, social media posts, and location data. So they're going to identify patterns of your travel, create profiles, and prioritize targets for these law enforcement individuals. Other backbone tech includes HART. This is the Homeland Advanced Recognition Technology, and it's a replacement for the older ident biometric database. This is a very large cloud-based system, and it's capable of storing fingerprints, iris scans, facial images, DNA, voice prints, anything that they might have taken from a previous type of a scan, whether you were arrested or maybe you gave your fingerprint technology for getting onto an airplane more easily using the TSA number, or various different other ways where your fingerprint or other DNA types of information has been taken. That's all put into one large database. There are commercial data brokers. So if ICE doesn't have this information in their own database, they have purchased access to large amounts of commercially available data, including location data and license plate reader data from companies like Vigilant Solutions, which is owned by Thomson Reuters. It also allows agents to track driving habits and locate individuals across the country. So how do we mitigate that backbone technology? Well, one way is to limit your online presence. Don't post everything. And if there's less to be online, then there's less to actually surveil. Use web browsers such as DuckDuckGo. And DuckDuckGo is going to not keep any information about what it is you searched or where that search was from. Now, your ISP or internet service provider, such as Comcast and others, they will keep some of that information. So what you can do is use what's called a VPN or a proxy service. Now, these commercial VPNs, they're not really VPNs, but they will give you additional protection, because what it is you're going to connect from you to the VPN service, which is also really just a proxy service. And then from there, it's going to connect you to whatever website or whatever resource you want. And they don't keep records. They drop those records as soon as they come in. So if Homeland or ICE wanted to see those records, they wouldn't be able to see them because they don't exist. You can adjust your social media settings to not be public. A lot of different apps such as Facebook, Instagram, and others are going to have everything be public, everything be searchable and easily to get. So if you take that off of public, make it private, yes, it's still possible for them to get it if they use a warrant to grab that information from Meta or other companies, but those basic scanners that are looking for certain keywords are going to miss those because it's not public information to start with. So change everything to private except for people that you share that data with. It won't give you complete protection, but it will add to your protection profile. Turn off cell and Wi-Fi during demonstrations. So this is a way to help. It's not, again, going to totally protect you, but it will definitely help. So there are settings to turn off cell phone connectivity and Wi-Fi. And with those particular antennas turned off, you can go ahead and make recordings and things like that. And then when you are away from the demonstration, you can upload those videos later. You could also just not even use your own personal phone. You could use a burner phone and pay in cash. Now, some states don't allow you to do that anymore. You have to give your identity when you do this. But if you buy across state lines, then certain states do not require that, and you can certainly still do that. Another low-tech idea is to use public transportation instead of using your car. So if you took public transportation and you paid in cash, there's really no way for you to be tracked. Know your rights. Now, knowing your rights is great, especially if you get to the point where you can stand in front of a judge. But if you're standing in front of an ICE agent and say you know your rights, you may still get shot in the face, so it may not necessarily help you in that type of situation. ICE also uses biometric. This is going to be mobile facial recognition apps, such as Mobile Fortify, which allows them to take a photo of an individual in the field and run it against a federal database. So while you're standing there in the crowd, they're going to be taking pictures of you and checking it against a federal database to see if they have any type of warrant, or maybe you're here illegally, and that they can go ahead and arrest you at that point. Then there are biometric scanners. This is where ICE agents use mobile devices capable of scanning fingerprints and irises. So to scan irises and fingerprints on the street, they're going to try to use that to verify identities against massive databases, such as HEART, like I talked about previously. They might also use what's called the Smart Link app. This is used for alternatives to detention programs. This app requires participants to submit photos for facial verification and location confirmation using GPS coordinates on their own mobile devices. And this may be used by immigration services just to make sure they know where it is you are and what it is that you're doing. Now, in a public setting, it's possible to mitigate some of these biometrics, such as using a mask and disguise. Now, some of these various different types of technologies can see through certain types of makeup and things like that. But if you use lots of different things, such as a mask, a disguise, a wig, facial hair, things like that, it certainly can help and add up against those types of technologies. Avoid direct camera angles and keep moving around. If you stay still, it makes it easier for you to be a target. And if you keep moving, then that will definitely help. Now, there's also camera angles. Find out from other people in the group where the cameras are, and don't have any direct facial connection to those cameras. Try to keep your face at an angle and, of course, keep moving around. And if you're going to be using your phone to record yourself, use generated faces. Maybe today you're a cat. Maybe tomorrow you're a raccoon or something like that. So try to not use your own face. Now, some people like to use that swirl face. Those things can be unswirled, so I don't recommend using those. Turn the camera around. Never point it at yourself. Never point it at other demonstrators. Just point it at the people such as ICE that are looking to have you arrested. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you can buy a camera that has video capabilities, but no Wi-Fi. There's a lot of them that you can get. They're $50 to $100, and they have no type of signal. You can always upload any videos you created by connecting to your own computer or other device later on. And you can use what's called multi-factor biometrics. So instead of just using one single thing like a fingerprint, you can also add your face. You can add a password. You can add multiple different things on your phone before it allows you to log in. So that way it makes it a lot more difficult to hack into your phone. There are multiple different surveillance tools, and as mentioned previously, social media surveillance. Now, there's phone spyware such as graphite. ICE has recently revived this contract with this company called Graphite, which is a spyware developed by Paragon Solutions. Now, you can't necessarily use spyware yourself anymore, but they can certainly use it on you. And they can use it to remotely hack in and monitor mobile phones, including encrypted messages. So as I mentioned before, you could use end-to-end encrypted messages, but that doesn't mean you're completely safe. However, you are more safe than not using the encrypted messages. Don't forget, there are other types of non-high-tech ways that you can communicate with people. There's also commercial location data through vendors like Penlink, Weblock, where ICE purchases these large troves of commercial location data to monitor entire neighborhoods or track specific devices over time. And they also use what's called license plate readers. This is where ICE is going to get a network of automated license plate readers provided by companies like Motorola and Thomson Reuters through Vigilant to track physical movements of vehicles across the country. So what do we do to mitigate that? Well, avoid personal social media accounts altogether if possible. You could use those end-to-end encryption types of apps, but of course, you don't have to use your own phone to do that. You can use a burner phone. Now, if you really want to be extra protected, you could also remove the battery when not in use, because even when the phone's turned off, it is still putting out some signal, not as much, but a minimal type of a signal. And if you're using your own phone or a burner phone, then you take the battery out, then it's not putting out any signal. You could use cash instead of credit or debit. Anytime you use your credit or debit card, of course, it is going to be tracked or trackable. Use public transport. So you don't have to use your own car. You could just take a bus, or you could park in covered areas like garages. Now, of course, some garages are going to have cameras where the covered area is blocking the camera. So these are just some of the various different tools and mitigation techniques that various different people use. I recommend that everybody be safe out there and do not break the law. These are both the surveillance as well as the mitigation techniques recommended by many different organizations.